Hey guys, title of this live is what it feels like to be judged by your looks. Now, I can't say anything about racism, white or black, and how a black person would be feeling right now in America, especially. One thing I do know is what it feels like to be judged by your looks. Okay, and it's interesting looking at me. Why would I be judged by my looks? I'm that classic white person who can't be judged by their looks, because look at me, right? Well, I'm going to give you a tip. I have been in a really, really big way. In 1998, I decided, because I was living in Canada, and I decided at the time that I was going to shave my head. I had this huge, massive goatee down here. I had a shaved head. And the most interesting thing that happened was, I was working in the IT industry back then. So I'd walk into what's called a 7-Eleven. We have them here now in Australia. So I'd go to the 7-Eleven, and the shop owner, or the person keeping the shop, would look at me and thinking that I was going to steal stuff from the shop. So what I would do is I'd walk around the shop, pick stuff up, put it down, pick stuff up, put it down. And what would happen is they were worried that I was going to steal something just purely by how I looked. Then this one day I sat, I just didn't reckon, because I'm this really soft guy, I didn't think about how I looked to other people. Everyone was terrified of me, everyone. Then I was in a group of people that I didn't even know I was in a group of. A group of hard-assed, huge block goatee, tattooed people were all smiling at me and giving me the, I'm a tough guy too. And I was part of a group that I didn't even know I was part of. So these guys would say hello to me, give me the head wobble, the nod. I'd be like, oh, that's right, I'm a tough-looking guy. So I was part of a group that was judged for how they looked. And it was really, really weird. So one moment, which really was a huge catalyst for me, I sat at a bus stop. There were these two old ladies. I absolutely terrified them because I sat in the middle of them. They were frightened for their life. And I was just like, oh my God, just because of the way I look, they were absolutely terrified. So me being me, I started talking to them, cracking jokes, opening them up, and I sat with them on the bus. My mates were sitting somewhere else because I know what I'm like. I love chatting to everyone. And completely made them in hysterical fits of laughter. Before that, they were terrified of me, absolutely terrified. And I had this, rode my bicycle down the west coast of America, and everyone was frightened of me. No one would talk to me, just because I had no hair and this massive block goatee, and I looked really, really mean. So, sometimes, try it. I know a friend of mine, Ante, did this. He wore a burqa. He decided to wear a burqa to see what it would be like and how he'd be treated by people just because of a certain thing that he was wearing, and he was judged, vilified for what he was wearing. So guys, if you're white and you think black people have it hard done by, try something different, wear something different, put yourself in a position where they're in, and then you'll fully understand why the hell they feel the way that they do. Because mine, I was always going to shave my hair was going to grow, well, it hasn't grown back, my hair was going to grow back. I had hair back then, and I could shave my goatee, but a black person cannot change their color. And be able to put yourself in the shoes of someone else's experiences, that's the only time you can fully understand it. And that's the best I can do, is understand what people are going through right now. Is because of that experience, I knew what it was like to be different. Now, my academy work is like that too. Every time I had this guy, coach, wanted to do a podcast with me, we did the podcast, he didn't put it on because he didn't like the work that I was doing, because it was way too different to what he knew. So when people don't understand you, they don't get you. You got to understand being able to put yourself in other people's shoes. I've done this all my life. I know what it's like, because I've been a healer for a very, very long time. I've had all sorts of, belief systems, all atheists, people who are connected to God so deeply, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. And the thing that I found is none of those people have called me racist, they've called me Jason. And the reason why is they see something in my heart that doesn't judge. So judgment is the biggest issue here. So when you're walking past people, don't look at a book by its cover. I know what it feels like to have that experience where people look at me and have judged me for how I've looked in the past. And it was interesting for me, you know, because I've got this inbuilt, but imagine having that all your life where you're judged just because you have different colour skin. You know, it must be really, really hard. I was just been chatting to a guy in America who's black, and it's even weird saying that, you know, to me. He's got a name, you know. The thing that's just weird is, you know, what he's dealing with right now. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and you know, he has to deal with that all the time. You know, just because he's a certain colour, he gets judged before he even opens his mouth. So imagine having to try and convince someone that you're different. And what is it, this different? You know, that's what people have to do, that you're different. And that's what I did when I was, you know, had the skinhead and the goatee. I had to just show that I wasn't a scary guy, that I wasn't intimidating, that I wasn't going to hurt the people around me. So have a think about that, guys. You know, you're never going to know until you sit in the shoes of the people who don't feel like they're understood, comprehended right now. And it's going to get worse this month. It's not going to be easy this month for a lot of people. So what I'd suggest that you do is look at your insides where you're feeling some deep stuckness right now. It's a perfect time this month to really work on your stuff and make sure you look after what's going on inside and take good care. All right, see ya.